Hey everybody! Today I'm going to be taking a look at the experimental Paul's Boutique, an album which stands in my opinion as one of the best records of the entire decade. It's one that's extremely important to the genre, and deservedly so. Let's get started. The record kicks off with a fun sort of teaser for all the bombastic and laid-back jamming that much of the rest of the album absolutely nails. To All the Girls spells perfectly into what I see as the true start of the album, Shake Your Rump. This thing, the whole record I mean, is an absolute ruckus. Production-wise, it's a loose, free-flowing jam pretty much the entire way through, and this is perfectly represented in spades by Shake Your Rump. Johnny Rial is another enjoyable track that upon repeated listens holds up due to that delicious guitar sample and tasty drumming that sort of glues the whole thing together. Eggman continues this fun interplay between band members we see earlier in the album and their career brought up to the nth degree. The production keeps this energy going wonderfully, and it's established through this that things can change at the drop of a hat. Beats can switch up quicker than bullets spinning in the barrel of a hand cannon. The psycho-themed tinge at the end is a great touch, too. High Plains Drifter is again high energy, but this time with a more laid-back touch. It's sort of a statement to the temperament of the group's intensity, one which thankfully sits back and lets them shine without having to be up in your face about it. The idea of the members to start dipping their verses into each other should be an absolute flop, but it works all thanks to the meticulous production and presentation. It feels very slapdash and lightning in a bottle, and yet every little piece here shines. Great stuff. And I love the Your Mama Don't Dance sample too. Noting that the High Plains Drifter flows into the next track, The Sounds of Science, would be sort of an odd thing to say considering they basically all take part in this sticky, homogeneous style, at least at the beginning of the record. It's thanks to the intelligently designed tempo and production changes that the songs all keep their identities here, whilst maintaining themselves as part of a greater whole. And since I've established my thoughts on this part of the album, let's get on to The Sounds of Science. It further slows the album to a sort of crawl, at least for this thing, until halfway through it breaks down and feels almost avant-garde in this foggy chamber of strange ideas and little lyrical tidbits on full display. For example, I really like Waxin and Milkin, All of Your Square Heads. And then the song shoots lightning through my skull by changing the tempo to match the energy on some of the prior tracks. And then I hear a sample from the Beatles' The End, and then another small production breakdown, and then more of the sample, then some lyrics, and then another breakdown. It's distracting and immersive all at once. Absolutely glorious. We slow down with another engaging track, 3 Minute Rule, which lets each of the trio shine with their own simple but well-flowing lyrics. Just Chillin' Like Bob Dylan comes to mind, not to mention, I was making records when you were sucking your mother's dick. I suppose now's a good time to mention that the lyrics on this record are memorable and snappy as hell, even if some of the wordplay leaves a lot to be desired. Overall, a less engaging track with more than enough lyrical spice to make up for it. Hey Ladies again corresponds with the topic of ladies, with this groovy Commodore sample which glues the track together quite nicely, in addition to its bouncy lyrics. And I wouldn't be allowed to review music if I didn't at least point out that Ballroom Blitz sample. On another note, I absolutely love that Zap sample near the end. Had to look up who that one was and could not for the life of me figure it out. 5-Piece Chicken Dinner begins with about as much transition as I placed between this sentence and the last. Coming from tracks that blend together perfectly, this seems like an abrupt slap in the face, one that I think resonates well with the slapdash nature of the album. The song shoves itself just as abruptly into the next track, a growling and howling rock track looking down the barrel of a gun, where more exhaustively gross and exciting lyrics are placed over an absolutely vicious backing track. More waxin' and milkin' is brought up, and yes, I suggest you go and look up what that means, maybe in a library. To pardon the pun, the track shoots into the next one, and it feels as if at this point the training wheels from the beginning of the album are off. Instead of bleeding into the next, each track crashes into the next one like an 18-wheeler and cuts away immediately after. And to further the analogy, I just can't look away. Car Thief is a great breather track with a smooth sample that goes down real easy, and again supports these fun, memorable lyrics before it quickly dips and shoots into the next track. What Comes Around feels like the first track since the beginning to harbor an excuse for a chorus, and it's luckily well deserved. This is another jam-along, a track you can just bob your head to and sing. Fun as hell. We have a different sort of breakdown with the trio yelling out funky and wham and bam and just having a great time for the last half of the track, and it's really just utterly believable. Shod Rock, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, starts with a great Sly and the Family Stone sample that kicks off an even more great interplay between the members. Despite some clever referential lyricism here, it's the instrumental that truly shines in my opinion. After this, we have a short but much needed interlude before we're thrown into the deep end in the form of the b-boy Bouillabaisse hinting, an extremely eclectic and oddly enough focused feeling experimental stew of strange and addictive lyrical and melodic passages as capsules to the most interesting set of ideas on the whole album. The lyrics at the beginning, particularly on Stop That Train, touch upon more real-life hang-ups, social issues, issues of ambition, and other concerns, and while the first 3 tracks on this tail end are great, A Year and a Day absolutely blows my mind. The track kills it with the maddeningly infectious Who's That Lady sample, shout out to Kendrick's 2015 landmark by the way, and intimate but headstrong lyrics that reveal the struggle of staying true to yourself musically. I particularly like the line, not polluted or diluted or damaged beyond cure, a phrase that this album wears like a badge of honor. I remember listening to this track several years ago on my shitty headphones and having to pause it for a couple seconds after it was done. I'm still blown away by it. The next part of the track, Hello Brooklyn, brings us back down from 11, but maintains this energy with these overwhelming bass lines that even with headphones like mine were a joy to behold. More fun lyrics here, and a great Johnny Cash sample that's put to good use. Dropping Names takes that sweet few seconds to start right, setting the tone wonderfully for a gorgeous bass riff that really just makes the song. Then the next track, Mike on the Mic, introduces itself with a bass riff even more complex and grooving than the prior. More memorable lyrics here, but it seems as if we're not getting back to that lyrical style and significance from earlier in the Bouillabaisse. It also has a line from Lloyd Lindsay that I thought was pretty charming though. The final track here, AWOL, ends the album probably how it should, with the gang jamming out at a concert to thousands of screaming fans. It breaks up midway to let you breathe for that last, small, undeniable stretch. After this, the album drops you off at the nearest bus stop and you're left wondering what the hell just happened. First off, classic record. Innovative, experimental, plunderphonic. Not sure if that counts as an adjective. There's really not a single track here below an 84. What I can harp on a little about is in the structuring of the album itself. I do want to first note that its experimental nature is phenomenally realized. I don't think there's any denying that. I do think, however, that even with the album bouncing around as it does, it feels as if it could have benefited from a more focused ending to wrap it all together. Not that I would change the songs themselves, but I would manipulate the structure on the Bouillabaisse, so that Hello Brooklyn, Dropping Names, and Lay It On Me lead the pack, followed by the original first 3 songs, then A Year and a Day, and the last 2 tracks in their unmodified order. That being said, it's such a subjective and almost unwarranted complaint that messing with the album in this way might taint the sort of flash-in-the-pan feeling we get from the rest of it. To conclude my conclusion, this is a near-perfect record that stands as a landmark in hip-hop, sampling, and experimentation. Utter greatness here. I'm feeling a 92. Despite my petty complaints, you really can't get much better than this. Definite go-to for anybody getting into hip-hop or just music in general. Thanks to Peshek for the recommendation. So what did you guys think of this LP? Let me know down in the comments below. If there are any records you'd like to see reviewed by me, feel free to ask. And if you like this content, consider subscribing and hitting that bell for more of it. In any case, thanks for your time, and have a great day.